This is Words of Radiance with Dr. Troy Munson.
Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Troy Munson, and boy do I get questions. On this episode of Questions, this is a common one that people will come to me with, but this is one that was especially asked by one of my kids. And they were going through a fairly difficult issue, and as adults, we watch our children sometimes go through some stuff that seems comical to us, that seems quite cute. And their relationship struggles in the beginning are they're reminiscent of remembering where we were back then, but as parents we do still care, and we know that they just don't have the experience. But the funny thing was, he asked me the question because it just was driving him crazy. How do I stop thinking? And I looked at him, and this is when I love how spirit just runs and can cut through it, and I can look amazing to my kids even though it's all spirit. I'm just going to stay as clear as possible and as peaceful and as still in my own mind as possible, letting go of all my thoughts and allowing spirit to run. But this is what spirit said, which was I was just thrilled. I literally asked him, "Are you thinking about taking out the garbage right now?" And he says, "No." I said, "Why not?" "'Cause I don't want to." "You're right," I said. Just that epiphany for all of us should be just this mallet upside the head kind of aha moment. I don't want to. And so then I asked him, I said, "So therefore, why are you thinking about what you are thinking about right now?" And he looked at me kind of stunned, and he said, "I guess because I want to." I said, "You, my friend, are exactly right." And at this point, we have to ask ourselves, if that's what I want to think about, the next obvious question is, why? Why would I ever want to cause myself disharmony and unhappiness by thinking about, well, number one, things I cannot change or know the answer to, like thinking about what another person is thinking right now when they are not anywhere near you. Gosh, I wonder what's going to happen, or what are they going to do, and what about this, or what if that happens, or what about this? We run ourselves ragged with the mental diatribe that happens in our own heads. And having realized it many years ago, it was one of my main goals, or one of my only goals at that time in my life, was to give up all thoughts. All these thoughts are completely irrelevant. If I really want to know what's going on in another person's mind and I care about them, then I'm going to belay all of my own thoughts and judgment until I am with them and say, "Do you mind if we have a conversation? I was wondering some things." Now, in the dating realm, that's a bit too direct for most people. And, I guess if you like the game of dating, don't pay attention to what I'm saying right now. But if for some reason you actually would like to have a more meaningful relationship and would like to actually know what's going on in another person's mind without guessing and staying and remaining at peace yourself, then this is for you. But know and rest assured that you are going to find a bunch of people that you may be interested in dating that will be very turned off by the fact that you simply asked direct questions. And, for me, I would say I laud you, I praise you for asking direct questions and watching the chaff fall away, so to speak, of people that are really not of that high quality. They're just in it for the game. They're not very serious. They really don't care. And they certainly don't care about themselves. And so, with good questions, you tend to let the cream rise to the top. And when you have somebody that holds on and says, "You're my kind of person. You're direct, you're honest, you don't play around, You get things done, and I know exactly where I stand. If that's the kind of person that you want, because that's what you like and that's what you're about, with as little confusion in life as possible, and as much ease and peace and joy as possible, then this is definitely your conversation. So, how do we then go to that next level? Because we still haven't answered the original question. How do I stop thinking? Well, we certainly know that to think means that you want to. That we've established. So if one of your goals is to give up thinking, to stop thinking, then that's the first good decision you've probably made. Now, as we've made that decision, we then begin to watch the thoughts going on in our head. Now, that can be quite distressing and wearying. We literally weary ourselves to death. We have to sleep more hours than we should at night. We're fatigued all the time because of the mental strain of constant thinking about, now here's the kicker, thinking about lies or fantasies or unrealities. That's what we spend the vast majority of our time thinking about. And it isn't actually thinking. We're making these little mental movies of what we think might happen, or what should have happened, or what our perception of what did happen, instead of letting it all go and simply being at peace and okay with whatever happens at this present moment. Now, there are some gems in that last 15 seconds I just mentioned. You may want to go back and listen to them. But that being said, we give up thinking by number one, deciding to give up thinking. Number two, when we decide to give up thinking, we tend to give up a lot of fear, because the vast majority of our thoughts are fear-based. And I've talked in podcasts before about why that is. The brain itself is a blank slate when you're born. It doesn't have any knowledge or understanding. But if you believe that there is a higher power, that there is a source of everything, that there is intelligence even within a rock or a plant, or how your body heals on its own without you ever telling it to, if you've realized there must be some form of excellent intelligence running this whole show, and if that intelligence is everywhere and in everything, it has all knowledge that there is. There isn't any knowledge that it does not possess. If there is something that exists, then it exists within it, and it would once again have all knowledge. So that knowledge, you can rest assured, is complete. And if it does know, then what could it possibly be afraid of? Nothing, because knowledge is eternal. It is infinite. It is love, because knowledge doesn't have an ego. It just is incredibly logical. It says this is what it is. And why would I be afraid of it? I understand it completely. And I mean completely. So the brain, not having any of this kind of knowledge or access to it, is constantly confused. It's trying to decipher a world. It's categorized quite a many things like animals and plants and bugs and microscopic things. It has gone to great lengths to try to understand human nature. The psychoses of human nature would probably be a better way of putting it. But once again, it will always come up short, because insanity is really difficult to understand, if not impossible. And so, did I just say that most mental thinking is insanity? Yes. If we label insanity as non-reality, then yes. Most of us think of insanity as they're completely loony, crazy, off the deep end, have no idea what is going on or anything, and you would generally not want to hang around with them. I'm talking about insanity as generally understanding that there is truth, and then there is not truth or unreality or insanity. So as we look at the brain and what it tries to do, it literally lives in a fantasy almost continuously. Show me a movie, let me read a book, let me watch a reality TV show, which I use the word loosely, reality. But it will do all these things because it just doesn't know. It absolutely doesn't know. And so as we function in more stillness, in more peace, and watch how well you're led by the real you that is, quote unquote, behind the curtain, so to speak, the brain will catch glimpses, or at least as spirit wills, but the brain claims everything that you're doing right now, even as you sit here listening to me. You might be driving, you might be doing yard work with a pair of headphones on or something, who knows? Or maybe you're just sitting peacefully listening. But if you just let your head be still and walk around without necessarily a lot of thought, and you'll find yourself doing things, you'll watch your brain begin to claim very quickly what you're doing. I have caught it many a times. I'm not fooled by it very much anymore. And so, how do we stop thinking? Which is really watching, becoming very, very intent on watching and very interested in what is going on around you rather than what is going on in the brain itself. The brain doesn't have the answers. Now, it has some answers that you will consider in this world, but the real, actual, vital answers it possesses not. And you can ask it a bunch of interesting things. And when I was young, I used to think I had the answers. Well, this is what I'm going to do. Well, this is what I'm going to do. Well, this seems quite good. And as I watched those things crumble and realized I only kind of knew how to screw up life, not necessarily how to be very successful at it, I began to let go of those things. Most successful people will tell you that their ideas or their flashes of genius was when they stopped thinking about a certain problem. They let it go and let the answer come to them, not grinding away in their mind. Even Nikola Tesla just knew that things worked the way they worked. He was quite still in his own right. And it would ire some of his contemporaries to no end. Why don't you build it and test your theory? He goes, I don't have to. I know it works. He just knew that he knew. Because he knew how to access something much greater than himself, which few of us really understand very well. And so this is where that original story with my son, when he just wanted to know how to stop thinking, because he knew his thoughts were against him. He knew that he was living in this unreality of his thoughts about what possibly could happen with this relationship, how horrible it could be or how great or whatever, all in between. And it was just driving him batty. So one of the techniques that I'll use, and I give you this gift, is I will ask the question, I wonder what my next thought will be. And then the brain hands it to me and I say, got it. I wonder what my next thought will be. And then listen with intensity, incredible intensity. And watch how no thought comes right away. Some folks will watch their body breathe, not take a breath, not force a breath, but rather just watch when it seems like the body, there it wants to take a breath in, and there it wants to breathe a breath out. There it wants to take another one, and you're not necessarily doing anything, you're just watching the lungs expand and contract, and the body breathe, and the body exhale, and you're not thinking about it, you're just simply watching. I recommend that you get good at that. If you can do 3 conscious breaths without any interruption of thought, you, my friend, have done a monumental task. You have done well. You have really decided to be still and just be. And as we have more people out there just being and not doing all this crazy stuff with their head and all these things they think they must do. We will have a society that hears that peace from just a few of us. And that peace is growing, by the way. There are many of us out there that are simply deciding to be at peace, deciding to be in heaven, if you will, where there's only peace, where joy abides, and it abounds as well. And knowledge exists when necessary. You'll be given what you need. You'll be told what to do in the most miraculous way. And you'll wonder why I didn't do this sooner. Well, now is as good a time as any. So, like my son who strives to be in that no-mind state, that just present where Spirit always is, where God always is, and not worry about anything, but rather just simply accept everything and know that God is actually in control, and that if it seems like something disconcerting is happening around you or to you, that just wait a moment, it will change, because He wants to bless everyone and everything. It's not like He's used you for suffering, even though you may think He has. He has not. But as your mind even grows still around your suffering, all of a sudden it will go away too. And you'll wonder again, why did I wait so long to do this? Don't wait any longer. Now is a marvelous time. And it doesn't matter. By the time you realize, hey, I think that's something I want, it will still be now. Now is the only time that you can do any of this. And now is the present moment. Now is what you've been waiting for. Until next time, I'm Dr. Troy Munson.
Thank you for listening to Dr. Munson's Words of Radiance. We hope you enjoyed our show.